Well, good morning. We're live. And what's today? 21st of June. Well, we are here in the greenhouse. We're about to go look at some great plants all around. I always like to start off and just talk a little bit while people join the live. So good morning to y'all. Hopefully you got your coffee. And we're moving into summer weather pattern now, and it's starting to feel like it. We still haven't hit 100 degrees yet, which is great because we're officially, good morning, Linda. We're officially in bonus territory for that because typically we will hit 100 degrees by, what did he say? I think he said like our average first 100 degree day is, sometime mid-June. So we're past that now. Good morning, y'all. And we haven't hit it. It's going to be in the 90s for the foreseeable future, but you never know what day it's going to pop up to 100 degrees. But, oftentimes we hit that 100 degree mark in May or early June. So that we're still not 100 degrees is pretty great in my opinion. And even though a week ago the weather forecasters were saying we're moving into a summer weather pattern and it was going to stop raining, and then all of a sudden Sunday morning, so 6 days ago, we got like 2 inches of rain kind of out of nowhere. So those forecasters don't really know what they're talking about, as we have seen multiple times this year. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously it's going to dry out. It's going to get hot. It's already drying out and getting hot. But we are in a really good situation. There's still moisture in the soil, though the upper layers of the soil are drying out now. And so it's time to start watering your trees and shrubs, especially if they are newly planted within the last year or two. It's time to go ahead and good morning, y'all. It's time to go ahead and get those planted. Get those watered. Now, the question I always get in June from everyone. Oh, by the way, before I get to that, happy summer solstice yesterday. So yesterday was the longest day of the year as far as daylight goes, and it was officially the first day of summer yesterday, which is always funny to me because, June 20th, it doesn't feel like, summer really, or like, I don't know. I guess the longest day of the year doesn't correlate with the hottest day of the year. And so that's what's confusing sometimes. But yeah, we know that our true heat doesn't kick in until July and August here are typically our hottest 2 months. So it's just kind of interesting that the longest day of the year, the day with the most sunlight, isn't our hottest day. That heat will kick in over the next month or 2 or 3. We'll be nice and hot and dry. But anyway, we need to start getting water on those plants in your garden, especially if you have raised beds, especially if you have pots that drain quickly, and especially if you have newer planted trees and shrubs. Hi, Poppy. Where'd she go? She ran away. But yeah, we know it's coming. And it's time. Okay, so back to that question I was going to say. In June, the question I always get is it too late to plant? And the answer is no. So if you have been following us for a while, or if you're a savvy gardener, you know that we recommend planting, when it comes to trees and shrubs especially, planting in the fall is our ideal time to plant those plants, because when you plant trees and shrubs in the fall, it's cooler weather. It gives them time to establish roots all winter, all fall, all winter, all spring, before the summer heat kicks in, right? So that's our best time for planting trees and shrubs, fruit trees, things like that. And so people that are tuned in know that. And so then when they see us moving into the summer weather pattern, which we are now, they ask, is it too late to plant plants right now? Because summer is the most stressful time to plant your plants, because one little mistake and they're going to get burned up, they're going to dry out, and it just makes it harder to get your plants established when you are planting going into the heat of summer, or especially planting during the heat of summer, right? So is it too late to plant? Yes and no. No, in the sense of we actually plant all year round. We plant almost 365 days of the year. You just need to have a plan of attack when you are planting at different times of the year. So if you are planning on planting plants leading into summertime or during the middle of summertime, you just have to have your irrigation dialed in. So you've either got to set up some automatic irrigation, bubblers, soaker hoses, drip systems, and they have to be tuned to make sure that they are watering all the way down to the bottom of those roots, or you're going to have to dedicate this summer to watering those trees and shrubs that are newly planted in order to get them established, right? So as long as you've got a plan in place, you can do it at any time of the year. So it's not too late to plant, especially if you're planting things that are drought tolerant. You know, things like Vitex, desert willow, crepe myrtles, even a lot of your drought tolerant perennials and succulents. That stuff is fine for planting right now. If you're planning on going on a month-long vacation and no one's going to be watering at your house, why don't we wait till you get back from vacation or wait till fall to plant those plants? But yes, you can still plant now. We're still seeing people come in and do landscape projects right now. We're still seeing contractors that are finally getting caught up after the spring rush. They are coming in and doing installs right now. You got to dial in your irrigation. You got to be consistent, and you can still get those projects done at this time. Now, if you are not in a hurry, if you are willing to be patient, and you're wanting to plant some trees or shrubs, then sure, you can wait till fall. And it's kind of funny, people ask, well, what's fall, right? Anytime I say that, I think it would be somewhat intuitive, but in our sense, what we're talking about is once temperatures start cooling off after summer. So sometimes that happens late September, sometimes that happens in October, but October, November are kind of our peak times for planting those trees and shrubs. But I don't want you to just say, well, I can't garden right now, because you can. You just got to have a plan of how to water, right? We also have drip irrigation supplies in the store. And if you have questions about how to set up drip irrigation, come holler at one of us and we will help you design it and show you which components you need. And that is a great way to get your plants watered over the summer. All right, so we are gonna walk around. Someone from YouTube's asking if I'm a botanist. I am not a botanist. I am a horticulturist. So, and I'm sure you know the difference, but I'll explain for some people. It's kind of like the difference between a zoologist and a zookeeper. So botanists study plants, so they can identify all the parts of the plant. They can tell you why plants do what they do, and physiologically, physically, chemically, what's going on inside of plants, or taxonomy. So botanists are good at studying what plants belong to what family based on the different characteristics. So anyway, I'm not a botanist. I can't identify, if you bring up a chart and tell me to label every single part of a plant, I'm not that good at that. Horticulturists are specialists in growing plants. And there's surprisingly not a lot of overlap between botanists and horticulturists. In fact, I know a lot of botanists that are, as the British would say, rubbish at growing plants. So just because you know a lot about plants doesn't necessarily mean you're good at growing plants, and vice versa. So I know a lot of horticulturists that are rubbish at botany. It's pretty rare that you find someone who is really, really good at both, but there are those people out there. But anyway, yeah, I'm a horticulturist, so greenhouse grower, but I grow a lot of other things. So that's us here at Smith's. All right, let's get moving and look at plants. Today, I want to try to get over. Let me switch this camera around. Good morning, Pam. Okay, so we still have a lot of these. We sold a lot, but we have a lot of these really cool Dracaena combos that are a really great price. $49.99 for these big, beautiful Dracaena combos. So if you have an indoor space, commercial space, if you need something for a gift, those would be great. But I want to highlight some perennials today. So we're going to eventually make our way over to the perennial section, which is down there. And this is one of those perennials, which we just have it over here in our annual section because it's super pretty. The hardy hibiscus are starting to bloom all around town. And I've got a good example here. So these are hardy hibiscus right here, but right next to it is a tropical hibiscus. So there's a lot of confusion about hardy hibiscus versus tropical hibiscus. They are related, but they're not the same plants. So your tropical hibiscus, they have, well, I just did a video about this and posted it last night. So you can check that out online, but there are some differences. The tropical hibiscus cannot survive freezing temps. So they have to be repurchased every year or brought indoors into a greenhouse over the winter. Whereas our hardy hibiscus can be planted in the ground and they'll come back from year to year as a perennial. And we'll go look at some of those here in a minute. Before we get over to the perennials, we do still have our summer kickoff sale going on. So caladiums are 50% off. Dracaena spikes are also 50% off. These are great in your mixed containers and things like that. The Persian shield over here, we have a few geraniums left. Those are 50% off also. There's maybe only like 20 left on the table. Persian shield, a good shade plant, gorgeous, is also 50% off. All our Lantana is 50% off. Beauties. This is Dallas Red Lantana. And New Gold Lantana, also 50% off over there. I'll show you that one. Begonias and Coleus and Impatiens are 50% off. So there's quite a few annuals that are 50% off. So Moline is asking why her peony hasn't bloomed in the last couple of years. If it's newly planted, it may just be wanting to establish. So it could take it a couple years before it really gets a vigorous root system and establishes. You could give it some root stimulator. It's not going to grow anymore this year, but you could give it some root stimulator and try and get it to establish a more vigorous root system right now. It could be that it's in a little bit too much shade. I've kind of changed my opinion on peonies over the years. I used to think that you had to plant them in shade here, but they can actually tolerate more sun than I originally gave them credit for. So ideally in Texas, these peonies are going to be put in a place where they get morning sun, afternoon shade, or some direct sunlight on the leaves throughout the day, though not necessarily full sun in Texas. Though up north, they actually love to be in full sun. So it could be that you've got it in a little too much of a shady spot, or it just hasn't quite established yet for it to bloom. And then they also tend to like colder winters. So if it didn't get quite cold enough over the winter, it's not going to bloom as much. Well, there you go. All right. Also have this beautiful silver Dicondra. Which is great in containers, mixed arrangements, or in the ground as a ground cover. Oh, I forgot to mention the Parade of Homes is happening. It started yesterday and will also be today and tomorrow and next weekend. And we have tickets here because if you just go to the Parade of Homes, the tickets are $10 at the door. And, you know, one ticket will get you into all the homes. But we have tickets here for free. So if you come in and you purchase anything, if you make a purchase today, you will get Parade of Homes tickets. And you'll get one. If you need more, we can probably get you some more. So just come in and shop. Come buy a perennial or whatever. And we'll get you a ticket to the Parade of Homes because we have some extras. So come grab those while they last. Speaking of Lantana, we also have the Texas native Lantana, or one of the Texas native Lantanas. This is Lantana horrida, which is a shrubby type Lantana, and butterflies really love this. Extremely drought tolerant, and we're going to walk through some of these great perennials that we have because the perennial section, as you can see, is looking amazing. Right now, all of these lovely perennials are showing up and showing out. So we'll try to walk you through some of these before I have to get back inside for the staff meeting here in a few minutes. We've got Carex, Feather Falls. This is a great grass that is almost evergreen. It looks similar to the variegated liriope or monkey grass that you guys are accustomed to, but this is actually a little bit more winter hardy. Hey, there's a butterfly over there. The variegated liriope will kind of lay flat and go away during wintertime, but this one is a little bit more cold hardy, and I just think it's a cleaner look than the variegated liriope. It's got this kind of this Feather Falls variety is somewhat of a trailing look, and so it does really cool in containers or in the ground. It's not a spider plant. It looks a lot like a spider plant, but it is Carex type of grass. We got a lot of Texas native perennials all scattered around in here. This is a wild mint native to Texas, and it's starting to bloom. So that's Mentha arvensis. Just be careful where you plant it because it will spread, but very tough Texas native plant. The Salvia greggii. Let me adjust my tripod real quick. I keep slamming into stuff and Salvia greggii or autumn sage is blooming, starting to bloom. They come in a wide variety of colors. These are a shrubby perennial that's also Texas native and very hardy. Got quite a few of those in stock here. I'm trying to make my way over to the Stokes Aster, Stokesia. Look at these gorgeous, oh, there's just a butterfly on there. Look at these gorgeous Stokes Aster. Now this is an aster that's native to the southeastern U.S. and it is gorgeous and very, very hardy around here also, and just these huge blooms on it. So that's a great one. We got Jerusalem sage over here. We have a lot of heat tolerant and drought tolerant perennials in at the moment. Salvia leucantha, also known as Mexican bush sage over there, gets purple flower spikes. Looks pretty similar to the Russian sage, but they are different. Got some black and blue salvia as well. It is pollinator month, so we have a ton of pollinator plants in stock right now. So come get you some. We got Cali Lophus. This is an awesome heat-loving perennial too. For butterflies, we got yarrow or achillea. Right now we have some reds and pinks. I've sold out of a lot of the other colors. The Veronica is looking super cute. And there's a butterfly on it. A tiny little butterfly. The Veronica in pink and in purple. Coreopsis. Oh, there's tons of butterflies out here. There's one on the Coreopsis right there. Coreopsis, another great Texas native, heat-loving perennial. So if you're needing some pollinator plants, perennials, we have a lot of options out here. Let's see if there's a couple others we can highlight before we gotta end the video. The catmint. Catmint is, you've probably heard me talk about it, my #1 favorite perennial that you can grow around here. It's extremely drought tolerant once you get it established. It loves full sun. It blooms like crazy. The pollinators go crazy for it. For me, if you've been trying to grow lavender because you love how lavender looks, but you failed at growing lavender because it's a pain in the rear sometimes, then I would replace that with desire to grow catmint, because catmint is so much easier, performs so much better, and it gives you a similar look to lavender in the landscape. Now our cannas are still 50% off over here. So if you want some, and I have a bunch of different flavors of cannas, and they're gonna be bringing more out today also, but if you're needing some cannas in your yard, I've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 different varieties out there. The hardy hibiscus, like I said, are blooming. And so everybody's coming in to buy hardy hibiscus right now. And I've got the Texas Star hardy hibiscus in stock. That one is one that we don't get a lot, so I'm glad that we have that in stock. People have been asking for it. Got the Luna Pink. We've got whites in stock. So these are awesome. Awesome plants to add to your landscape. And the cannas are blooming as well. I think I have time for maybe one more table over here, because there's some nice stuff to show you there. Some more natives. So Gaillardia, also known as Indian blanket. We have a few different varieties of the Gaillardia in stock. We got Shasta daisies, a few Shasta daisies left. This one's a yellow Shasta daisy, and then you've got your white. We've got Echinacea coming into bloom. So these are a cross between Echinacea and Rudbeckia. Big, beautiful flowers on the Echinacea. Good. These are all full sun, heat tolerant perennials. We got Rudbeckia, so black-eyed Susan. And we have some Echinacea over here starting to bloom. A couple of different varieties. Look at that one. Coneflower Echinacea. Red hot pokers, but this is a yellow hot poker, Nyphophia. This is a succulent type perennial that's really fun to grow out in the garden. Skullcap is a great low growing perennial. They come in purple and red, and once again, very heat tolerant and drought tolerant once you get them established. So certainly a lot going on out here. And we have the dwarf Mexican petunias, which are another really long-lived perennial. That's great for borders, are the Mexican petunias. We do have some Turk's cap over there as well towards the back. Turk's cap are starting to come into bloom now around town. But, all right, I'm gonna make my way back up to the front. Yeah, most of those perennials I highlighted do need a lot of sun, but we do have a section of shade perennials. So when you go down the aisle, about halfway down on the left, begins our shade perennials. So we do have options there. Oh, and begonias are half off. If you are wanting begonias, those are on sale. All right, I'm gonna make our way up to the front. We're gonna start our Saturday morning staff meeting, go over some things, but I hope to see you out here today. Still have a lot of gorgeous plants for you, and you can still plant even though we're getting into summertime now. So come see us. We'll talk about your projects. We'll help you out. And don't forget to water your plants today. It's getting hot. Thanks for joining, and see you soon.